Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their awakening process. And this video is going to share with you 5 tips that'll help you get through the dark night of the soul. I won't spend too much time going into what it is, what the dark night of the soul is. There's a lot of videos out there on the subject. I have one actually as well. Again, what I see a lack of is practical, actionable advice that can help you not make it go away and not make it necessarily much easier, but help you actually get through it, because this dark night of the soul is no joke. It will bring you to lows that you never thought you would experience in life on all levels, mentally, emotionally, just mentally, conceptually, nothing makes sense. Everything's breaking down. And oftentimes during all this confusion and inner turmoil and emotional upheaval, life will sometimes really seem to pin you down and paint you into a corner. And this can create a lot of doubt and pessimism and worry and concern about the future and where you're at. It's just a hard time on all levels. But it's a sort of dying, aspects of you are dying and making room for the birth of more of your consciousness to sort of seep and pierce through the layers of ego. And it does ultimately lead to good stuff, to happy time, to better times. But this process itself is grueling. And I wanted to just share with you some of the things I learned that have helped me not create more pain than necessary, because it is a painful process and I can't do it for you. I can't help you skip over it. But these things I really believe will help you at least a little bit. Worth watching anyways. So the first one is to, as challenging as it is, to make yourself perform any sort of spiritual practice that you happen to have done maybe in the past, whether it be a guided meditation, just sitting and clutching crystals in bed, formal, regular meditation you do, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, any of those things. There's so many different techniques out there that have a positive and uplifting and calming effect on your being, on your experience. And do those not with the expectation of feeling great or feeling even good. But when you do those techniques, it can put you into a state of where you're feeling as good as one can during those times, good enough to not indulge too much in escapism, basically. Because when this dark night springs into our life, the natural reaction is to resist it, to try to not feel the intensity of it and take the edge off through all these different little mini addictions we have, or even hardcore addictions. Or there's this like the fight or flight. We try to flight, we try to run from the experience, and that just makes it stick around longer, makes it more intense. And again, doing any sort of meditation or something to that effect will help you not do that so much. Because in doing so, in trying to escape and resisting, again, you're creating even more stress and more anguish and prolonging this experience, because you're trying to resist it. It needs to happen. And the techniques will help you allow it to happen better. Number 2 is to just give yourself a break. Don't be so hard on yourself. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and afraid and sick and depressed and not wanting to go into work or school, or to go out with your buddies, or to fulfill some of your commitments that you would normally do. Allow yourself. You're a human being. Life in itself is tough. The dark night of the soul is exceptionally hard. Give yourself a day or a week of just calling into work if you need to, and just sitting there and being miserable. It's okay. You'll feel better eventually, and you'll be able to kind of pick up where you left off with your life just fine. It happens to us all. And a lot of times It's our expectations of ourselves that can be very unrealistic, where we think we should be feeling a certain way, doing more, performing better at life. But when this is happening, you're just setting yourself up to hate yourself and be disappointed in yourself, because what you're going through is so real and so profound and intense that it's just super unrealistic to expect really much out of yourself at all. But if you can consciously give yourself a break and say, you know what? By now I know I'm going through an awakening. I've had this dark night of the soul before, or maybe it's my first time. And I do trust there's a part of me that knows it's going to be okay. It's serving a purpose. So rather than try to, again, ignore what is and deny it and just force myself into my life, which is just going to not go very well, because you can only do so good at life. How you feel and where you're proceeding from is going to directly impact all you actually do in your reality. And again, just allowing yourself the time to just not do much, not accomplish much, not be in an upbeat mood. It can help. Number 3, as much as you're not going to want to do this is something I would force myself to do, and it does help, in fact, I have a memory, I'm not going to get into it, but a memory of one of my worst dark nights, dark periods. It was after December 21st, 2012. I really believed that was going to be like some crazy moment where I realized, like some sort of ascension moment that changed everything for me. And when it wasn't, I went into a horrible dark night type of period, because that was such a strong mental concept of mine, and then allowed me, that mental concept of something awesome is going to happen very soon, helped me get through other challenging times. When it didn't, I felt just naked and alone, and just like I just felt like I had nothing to cling to at that point. And that threw me into a dark night. But I remember one time feeling like in this deep depression, and then just going for a walk. It wasn't even that nice out. A little bit sunny, I recall, but it was cold and just coming out of winter, obviously. Or it was winter. And I just remember coming back and sitting on the couch and feeling not great, but better. It sort of put me back into my faith. Even though my experience was really grueling and tough and it sucked, it reminded me that it put me back in touch with my true self. And again, my faith felt restored enough to have made that walk worth it. The walk serves a way of kind of snapping you out of the negative spiral and momentum that we can get into. When the dark night sort of feels imposed upon us, we can resist, we can start eating unhealthy food and excessively drinking or smoking weed or taking drugs or trying to escape by just watching TV all day. And it can build up this momentum, and that just makes us feel more depressed, because we know that's not good for us. It's not good for us psychologically or emotionally. And again, going just for a nice, fresh, pure, organic, real, out there in the outside type of walk can put us back in touch with ourselves, and again break that sort of negative momentum that is just natural to sort of for us to manifest during such a challenging time. Number 4 is sort of twofold. It's talk to somebody. If you guys don't have anybody to talk to, I just started this Awakening Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group, only private, so I can kick out people who are in there just trying to piss everybody off and spam people. But you're all welcome to join. We already have close to, I think, 700 members, only in a few days, really. It's when I launched it. You're welcome to join that. And so far, people are really interacting quite a lot and getting a lot out of it, it seems. And there's been people, this is what kind of inspired this video. I saw there's this big, like, long 50 comment sort of section of people talking about the dark night of the soul. And just realizing you're not alone, and that being in a group of other loving people there to sort of lift you up and help you out, it can help. Or part 2 of that is to help somebody. go on such a form, or not even, it doesn't have to be a form, my form, I don't care about that. Go out there in life and do something for somebody else. This is a big part of when I was recovering from heroin. I was, for about 3 years or so, I was really deeply into the 12-step programs. I'd go to AA and NA, and one of their big things is helping people as a way of feeling better and getting through your own dark times. And there is some sort of human fundamental reward that we get when we do something nice for somebody else. You could even go driving around and looking for those people ringing the bells when you walk into grocery stores asking for a donation. Go and give them $1 and look them in the eye and say, I wish you luck. Something simple like that really just helps get you out of yourself and helps you realize that you are part of something far bigger than yourself. And it just helps a lot. I think you all know that and have experienced that. A true altruistic deed, as small as it is, will help you considerably, because it'll give you purpose. When you're going through this dark night, you don't feel like you're doing anybody any good. You feel like it's just a big burden to life, to society, but you're not. And when you do a little something like that, you can prove that to yourself, because you'll see the response. Not that you're doing it to elicit any sort of response, but you'll see that I have the ability to help lift up another person, and that will make you feel good. And number 5, which is the whole point of the dark night, is surrender. I'm not saying you're going to be good at surrendering. Hearing me say, hey, Vic suggests I surrender. Okay, I'll surrender. There it is. It's not that simple, but have that mindset, because you're going to eventually surrender anyways. That's the whole, I believe, the whole premise, the whole reason for this dark night. It's where you get such an amount more of consciousness that your previous mental constructs cannot survive. They can't hold up. And yet it is those constructs that gave you a sense of illusory safety and peace and comfort, and you're watching them crumble before you. You're seeing the truth of who you are and what you've been carrying around emotionally, all right there in your face, as these safety nets seem to be dissolving. And again, because we're now in these like fourth density type energies, all this manifests in your reality bubble just to make you feel completely trapped by it. But this purging, this reorientation has to happen. And you will not be able to keep up and manage all the different facets and the speed at which this is all taking place. And the best way to find peace is to surrender, to relinquish the need to control the flow of your life. The fluctuating emotions that come and go. Sometimes you have good days, bad days, etc. It's sunny out, it's cloudy out. And we want to control. We want only sunny days. We want only good positive feelings. We want to only be on these spiritual climaxes and these highs. But that is not the nature of the ebb and flow type of reality we live in. And if you can just tell yourself, I'm going to surrender today. I'm going to let go. There's a shitty, crazy emotion. I'm going to allow it. I don't like it, but I'm going to let it be there. I got fired today from my job. Oh God, that's stressful, obviously. But you're still fired. So I'm going to accept it. I'm going to allow it. And the more you just keep allowing, relaxing, surrendering, you will more quickly let this process bubble out of you. And you will find a sense of peace, but it's a different kind of peace. It's a peace that only comes from surrendering to the moment, to what is. Enlightenment is about unifying yourself with what is always. But we're not used to that. We've conditioned ourselves, we've learned to control reality as a way of producing certain emotional and responses in our day-to-day life. But this awakening is making us realize that that is an impossible task and you can't possibly keep up for it. And in doing so, even though you can sometimes control a situation and extract positive emotions, by clinging to that method of relating with life, you set yourself up for the negative emotional response to when life shows you that you're not really in control. You only think you are. And then it hurts. Then we're caught off guard by life. But if we just can allow the ebb and flow and flux, the spiritual climaxes, the highs, and the deep, dark lows to just go through us with less resistance, you'll, one, allow and not sort of try to influence and control and suppress this dark night experience from manifesting. Therefore, you will, in a sense, get through it faster, but you'll also take the edge off life a lot. And again, with all that said, I'm not suggesting these tips are going to help you considerably. I'm not suggesting that you're going to have an easy time surrendering, but you will eventually surrender. And that's how I've gotten through every single dark night. I've resisted, I've fought against it. Oftentimes, these dark nights sort of feel imposed upon us after a high, which can make it even seem more unwanted, more like, no, I had it. This is bullshit. No way. I was on cloud 9 yesterday. How can this possibly be happening to me? Nope, I won't let it. And then we resist and we act out. Well, okay, fuck this. I'll eat ice cream and I'll drink a bottle of wine and I'm gonna resist this. But eventually I find myself just without energy to resist anymore, and I would just inevitably just that exhale, that first. And I said, wow, I felt really good. I feel better now. Let's try that again. Exhale. Surrender. Allow. And this too shall pass.